Hola a todos, espero que estén muy bien, que estén disfrutando su tiempo en casa y que desde ya estén listos para el examen que vamos a tener en 2 semanas. I wanted to have a first video response to the questions you placed on the discussion for the exam, because it is very possible that tomorrow I'm going to be super busy, so I prefer to make a first cut today, and if there are any other questions tomorrow, I'll make a second video, okay? So, this is how this is going to work. I'm going to go over all of your responses, all of your contributions to the discussion, and I'm going to try to address the ones that are in line with what is expected from this discussion. Let me take off my glasses. Because first, you already have an announcement, the B, a really long one, with the general instructions for the exam, including the vocab, the structures we're handling, the dynamics, etc., etc. And I'm going to focus more on the content contributions or questions. So I'm going to be reading top to bottom. So his first question is that, do we always use algún and ningún in front of a masculine singular noun, or are there other alternatives? The short answer is no. Algún, ningún, buen, gran, all of them only work in the fashion of like masculine singular noun, nothing else. Daniel's question about tanto, tantas, tantos, tantas, I think I already answered that question on my previous video when I talked about comparatives and superlatives, so I'm going to skip that one. Let's see. Next question. Veronica. The use of más que and más de. You say más de, superlatives. Okay, this is something that the book goes a little bit in detail, which leads to confusion. We use más de for comparisons of inequality when you are doing comparisons of inequality with clause. So, meaning más de todas las otras que he visto, más de lo que se necesitaba, más de lo que esperábamos. So, it's a comparison of inequality, but not a superlative, because you're not establishing that something is the greatest, biggest of them all, but you are, that is like not on your expectations or more than you bargained for, etc., etc. That's a comparison of inequality with más de. However, I don't need this level of specificity. You can keep the más de for the superlatives if that's easier for you. Alex, let's see. Joe, your question was answered in the announcement. Alex, your questions are answered on the announcement as well. Olivia. Okay, let me just clarify. I always tell my students about structures in general that exams in Spanish, or at least the exams that are not the final exam, are not cumulative, although they can be cumulative. And let me explain you because of this. While I'm not going to assess, for example, your uses of the future or the conditional or all the other ones, it is also true that you need to show proficiency of them if the situation comes. For example, in the questions of the reading portion that are open-ended, you will probably need to see, okay, am I using the present perfect correctly? Am I using the progressive correctly? Am I addressing the prompt completely, etc., etc. However, target questions on present perfect, imperfect, preterite, progressive, same as por and para, etc., etc., you are not going to have them. Okay? Very defined, targeted questions, subjunctive, comparatives and superlatives, negative and indefinite words, and that's it. Okay? Let's move on. Julian Huff, your question was answered in the announcement. Sara Hinojosa, remember, you are not going to be asked about forming comments at all. Colin, yeah, I think the answer that Abby is giving to you is really good. It's very complete. I read it, and just think about how the contractions work. Like we don't say, for example, the el, but we say del, etc., etc. I don't think they can have a noun, of course. That is a different level of elaboration. Abby, in her answer, is very specific about that. Good answer, Abby. Nick. Mia is giving you a very good answer there. Kudos to Mia. I would add to Mia's answer this. Remember what I gave you on the feedback a couple weeks ago before the recess about how we would be giving you additional guidelines? Okay, so remember this. True, we are never going to use subjunctive with I believe, I think, I consider, anything like that, because you're not second questioning yourself. However, and this is my example, you can add another trigger to the subjunctive when you want to state your own thought. Listen to this. Yo creo que es importante que estudiemos para el examen. Yo creo does not trigger the subjunctive, but es importante does. Since es importante triggers the subjunctive, is not a problem for us to conjugate the following verb in the subjunctive. Okay? Let's move on. This weird thing is, I don't use acronyms, but for some people, they work really well. Thank you, Mia. Ali, kudos to you. You're super active on this discussion board. And yes, that's exactly what we're saying. Never use es cierto, es obvio, creer, pensar, no dudar, evidente, es verdad. With the twist I just gave you. For example, es cierto que es importante, es cierto que me preocupa que estés enfermo, etc., etc., etc. Abby. Okay. When you have negative expressions, just think about this. An expression like alguno o alguno is the opposite to ninguno. However, you may need to be careful when you are providing your answers. For example, algún estudiante está en el campus en este momento. Algún estudiante está en el campus. I have two alternatives. No hay ninguno. No hay ninguno. No hay ninguno, meaning that ninguno doesn't have a word next to it, doesn't have an expression next to it, so we just close it there. No hay ninguno. See the other way around. Hay algún estudiante en el campus. Another form of answer is no hay ningún estudiante en el campus. Remember, first, before I break down this answer, remember that ninguno and ninguna do not admit plurals. Ningunos, ningunas is very jargonish to pluralize them, so I don't teach them. I used to do it, now I don't anymore. So, let's go back to this answer. No hay ningún estudiante en el campus. Ningún next to estudiante. And I know there are female and male students, but remember that in Spanish we group in the masculine. And since we group in the masculine, ningún estudiante will mean there are no male or female students on campus at all. Now, you're going to ask me, okay, but what if I say there's nobody there? So you just say, no hay nadie. No hay nadie en el campus. What's the point there? When I say no hay nadie, in this particular moment, even though with the contingency and all that stuff, it would be kind of a lie, because we basically, you would be basically stating that there's not a single soul on campus right now, and that's not true. So when we say nadie, is the complete, absolute absence of people, okay? Just as you say nobody in English. Very good answer, Avery. Ali. It's a great question, and Libby gives you a good explanation for it. Let me elaborate a little bit on this. Tampoco, as I had the opportunity to share with some classes, I don't know if it was in section I, but I definitely mentioned the thing. Never say también no. Okay? And that's exactly what we do with tampoco. También no. Tampoco. Okay? And yes, it translates as neither. The advantage that it has is that it's like a wild card that you can use in negative sentences in order to establish more fluid uses of the language. For example, no tengo que ir al campus. Tampoco tengo que conducir a la escuela. No tengo que ir al campus, tampoco tengo que ir a la escuela. This sentence, using the negative word no and tampoco, can also be said as ni tengo que ir al campus, ni tengo que conducir a la escuela. Notice the difference? But the meaning, the meaning of both sentences is basically the same. Jack. Ali, good answer. Luke. Look, your question is really good, and short answer, no le digas algo a alguien doesn't work at all. Spanish is one of those, I think I mentioned this in one of the feedbacks I gave in text. Spanish is what we call a super emphasized language. That's the reason why we use the articles so frequently, and that's also the reason why we are like so consistent in using double negatives and triple negatives. But I'm going to refer to your example. No le digas nada a nadie. Okay, first no is just the introduction to the clause. So and remember that the first no is just to set the tone of the sentence. Nada. Remember that nada can only be used as the absence of an object. So nada in that case means that the comment should not surface. And then a nadie, no person. So the three no's, the first one is to set the tone of the answer. The nada is used to provide the idea of the object of the comment, and nadie is the person. Why doesn't no le digas algo a alguien work? Because you would be probably, you need, if you're not negating, but using indefinite words like algo or alguien, you would probably need to drop at least algo in order to establish what shouldn't be said, meaning need context, okay? For now, and because this is a level of proficiency that we are not going to reach in this class, just keep it negative. Be confident about using the negatives because it's never going to trick you. It's always going to be no le digas nada a nadie, and it always be negative. It's not like in English that if you put two negatives it's affirmative and then you put a third one is negative again. No, be confident about using negative words. Samantha. Okay, we are clear. We don't have a listening portion. Abby and Carolyn are giving you good answer there. Let's see, AJ. Okay, let me talk to you a little bit about the grammar portions of the exam. As you may see in the announcement I made for it, you probably noticed that we have drop downs and multiple selections in both grammar sections, but then you have writing. The open-ended questions are supposed to be answered in complete sentences, but nothing beyond complete sentences. So you don't need to worry about like what's more emphasized or what's not more emphasized. Like just learn that you need to make the complete sentences and you'll be covered. Okay? Mia, remember, just traveling. John. Very good answer, John. I liked it. Yes, remember, I hate that translation of hostel as albergue. Albergue is shelter. And in this sad times we're going through, like, let's keep it cool. Okay? Lydia. No present perfect at all. Okay, let's just announce. Ali gave you a really good answer here. Just keep in mind. Just keep this in mind. When you are talking in a matter of fact fashion, you're never going to trigger the subjunctive. Okay? Because remember that for talking in the subjunctive, we're always providing an option, an alternative, a choice. So if everything is going to be as a matter of fact, it's not going to be in the subjunctive. That's the reason why words like es cierto, es obvio, creo, pienso, no dudo, the ones that Ali is giving you your answer do not work to trigger the subjunctive unless you add another trigger. Okay? I would focus on learning the triggers. That's, like I said, that's probably the 80%, maybe more, of an answer in the subjunctive. Okay? Focus on the trigger, learn them by heart, practice them all over and over again, and you'll be solid for this. The triggers and then the conjugations, and you'll be covered for this. One thing. Abby, the weirdest thing. John. Yes, only concepts after the first exam. Carolyn. Okay, your answer is yeah, I think I answered your questions in the in the announcement. Sorry, I just received a text. Okay, Shay. Okay, I answered this on the announcement. Erin. Oh, okay. This is your answer. Is I think that's something that we can probably just give a little bit more elaboration for your question. So keep this in mind. We're going to say which one, but like one of the questions, one of the grammar portions is devoted to comparatives, superlatives, negative and indefinite words, and the other one is completely about subjunctive. Okay? Obviously, there's a mixture of all of them. Yeah, it's experience for me as well. But I think we can just see how it goes, and if needed, I don't think we're going to need to, because I didn't put heavy files on this exam. You don't get too concerned about how it works. And if it doesn't work, it pains me, but we'll have to repeat it, maybe make it paper-based, but like, let's not go there just yet, okay? Cami. Michael gave you a good answer there. Furthermore, if you see Ali Everett's responses here, when she said that like never use creer, never use es obvio, if you put a no in front of those expressions, you're going to have a trigger of the subjunctive. No es obvio, no es cierto, no es verdad, no creo, no pienso, etc., etc. It's fascinating. Why? Because that no in front of them is always going to place the uncertainty, the choice, the option I was telling you about a few minutes ago. Libby. Yes, only the vocab of travel. Michael. No, there are no other translations, as much as or as many as. So don't you don't need to get confused with that. And this I talk a little bit about this on my previous video and the feedback about comparatives and superlatives, but just keep in mind that when you are comparing on equality with an adjective, what you're going to use always is tan. T-A-N. Okay? Tan. You just need that. And then you match the adjective with the gender of the noun. Tan remains gender neutral. Okay? Not as tanto and tanta, because remember that with tanto and tanta, you're probably comparing nouns, you're probably comparing objects, etc., etc. So tan can remain gender neutral, and it is always going to be tan. Okay? Jada. No listening portion. Yes. Like I said on the announcement, the reading portion is exactly like a Leamos practice, and it doesn't have like many difference with that. Maeve, you're not handwriting. Noel, no proctorio. Jordana, see the announcement for answering your questions. You have 80 minutes. I mean, my suggestion is that you do the whole, like you sit and you do the whole 3 portions of the whole 3 components of this exam at once. But if you think that you need a break between them, be my guest. Just don't stop once you have started with one of the sections. Remember, there are 3 of them. You can do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one at night. they're going to be open for 16 hours. So there's time for them. Okay. What's more comfortable? Okay. Por empara is not a section. Emma. Yes. Free response. Hannah. I think I have addressed that already. Yeah, I don't know why you think that you need conditional or future there. We're not working with them. Madison, Joseph. Okay. Madison. Madison and Michael. I think we can work on that on a one-on-one basis because you're like you have similar questions, and if you want to practice with that, we can probably make an appointment on Skype and work with that with me sharing your screen. Other than that, you can also go to my previous video on the feedback on comparatives and superlatives, because I think I have said like what needs to be known about that. Like just send me an email with more specific questions about this. Avery, what we say, Lucas giving you a very interesting answer there, and he's completely right. It's just the emotion is because it's something that comes within. Okay, that's why we say because I think that it's good or it's bad, or I'm annoyed by something, or I fear something. That's the emotionality of these triggers. Okay, Michael. Okay, there's no listening. Carter. Very good. Just think about this, Carter. Ni, nadie, nada. There are three different things. First, ni. Ni is always used as an opposed to o. For example, no sé si ir a Cleveland o a Columbus. Or, no sé si viajar o a Cleveland o a Columbus. Mi respuesta, no voy a viajar ni a Cleveland ni a Columbus. ¿Sí? Double negative in front of a double option kind of question. Nadie, like I said before, is absolutely not no person, so not a single soul in sight. Nada is the absolute absence of objects. Your second question, well, there was more vocab for the first exam because you had the health and illness from the book and then the health and well-being list that I gave you. So yeah, it's just travel. Alyssa. Okay, this is a very interesting question. Alyssa is asking about the use of the infinitives in the subjunctive structures. It's very interesting because we are including this in the structures of in the uses of subjunctive with emotions. Why? Because in some cases, when we're expressing emotions, we don't need to talk about to change the subject of the sentence because we are just qualifying a particular circumstance. So if we're qualifying a circumstance or an object, we don't need to use the subjunctive because the object that we're qualifying is not going to receive a suggestion or is not going to be impacted by our emotion, like when the other triggers come. or when we have a person who is going to receive that emotion from us. So here is the difference. Temo que pagues mucho dinero por tu viaje. Again, temo que pagues mucho dinero por tu viaje. See how that que pagues is someone else receiving this emotion from me. 1. 2. Es ridículo pagar tanto por un viaje. Es ridículo is a trigger of the subjunctive with emotion. Good. But we are not directly expressing this emotion or tailoring this emotion towards a person, but rather about the circumstance of paying. So we're just like releasing pressure, like blowing some steam. So what we do there is that since there's no person receiving this emotion, we just use the infinitive of the verb because it's just a circumstance that I'm criticizing. Es ridículo pagar tanto. Conversely, I can also say, this would have been a better beginning of this example, I can say, es ridículo que tú pagues tanto. Both things are have like the same communicative intention. The difference is that the first intention, the first we're giving a direct attack to a person. Es ridículo que pagues tanto. Tú estás siendo ridículo. Estás pagando mucho. Es ridículo que pagues tanto. Then I'm just being condescending, diplomatic. Es ridículo pagar tanto. I'm not attacking the person, but rather saying like, I wouldn't do this. So I think we can work with that. Okay. Finally, and this is the last contribution I've seen on my board now, Evan. That's a very interesting question. Why don't you, Evan, why don't you send me an email or we have a Skype? Because I think that's a very broad question what you're asking there. Okay, chicos y chicas, like I said, this is the first probably out of 2 feedbacks that I'm going to give over your comments and your contributions on the discussion board. I hope this helps. I know it's not like being in the classroom, and I know that it's not like I'm going to that like I have a board to write and to just be my usual cookie self. But just keep in mind that there's always the Skype option, there's always the email option, and I can answer in more detail there. Okay, so this is just a first attempt. Let's see what we can do later. Okay, my next video, I'll try to post it soon, but I have a really busy day tomorrow, so like work with me. There are still like 12 days until the exam. Okay, see you, take care.